Welcome, everybody, to The Passion Within. We've got a very special guest today, Randy Rowe, who, if you guys don't know, is the president of the Grow Up Conference and so much more. And I want to talk a lot about that. You've sent me some video, you've sent me some pictures of your earlier life. You know, you've got a little bit different hairstyle. But Randy, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I could never do justice to, you know, the story of your life. So give us an idea of who Randy Rowe really is.
Well, thanks, Ken. Really nothing special. Just a regular old boy from Niagara region. Grew up in Port Colborne and, done a lot of crazy things in my life that's kind of brought me to this point. I've been running the Grow Up Conference since 2017. So it's been a hell of a ride getting here, and it's still quite an adventure moving forward. So there's a lot of different things that have taken me down this path to come to the point where I am with the Grow Up Conference. So.
Well, let's go back in history and let's see where your path actually started. Now, you started out computer sciences. You were a baby of the internet, or when the internet was a baby, you got into it. So you actually knew how to code. Like, I don't know, did you ever actually have to do ones and zeros, or, you know, did you start that late?
One of our classes, we had the old 8-inch tapes, and we'd have to put them on the computer and back them up on these. So, I mean, people probably don't even remember the 3.5, let alone the 5 1/4. But we had these great big 8-inch tapes that we'd use, and that was, kind of our first start into computers. So, I've always had a passion for graphics and engineering and drafting, and computers just sort of came around. My brother ended up with a couple of computers that you can do some of these graphics on. I thought, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. Let's learn it. It was the old Amiga. And then I remember a couple of his assignments in college. I came over and helped him out with some assignments, and it was on the old Tandy TSR-80, and it was
my God, that's going back, yeah.
So we're doing programming on this thing. It wasn't even an operating system. It's just 2 lines. I think the gas pump at any gas station now has more horsepower than what these things had. But yeah, so it basically I took an interest in it well before Windows. Started learning on DOS, which. And throughout my years, I've worked on probably about 8 different operating systems, including Unix and Mac OS2. There's a GEM operating system. There's a couple of these other operating systems that never really made it, but it really gave you a sense of how to organize and do things properly back in the day. Because I mean, if you look at somebody's desktop nowadays, it's just full of icons, and they don't have any naming conventions. They store it wherever. Back when I first started learning, you had to keep things organized because otherwise you didn't know where it was.
Well, and we talked about that for a moment in our original call about how, if you missed a period or misplaced a comma, it could literally take you days to find where you actually made the mistake. And like, that's commitment, Randy, when you really think about it. If you're going to, do that kind of programming, it's hell to find that mistake. Now, when you started out in graphics and you were doing graphics on the computer, how did that work? Because there was no programs for graphics. So did you actually have to code that on the computer?
Well, just go back to about the comment. It really, or the comma and missing things like that, really hones your problem solving skills. I think that's, if any of the generations are sort of missing out on a few key points, I think that problem solving skill of being able to find something and learn from it and not do it again and then screw something up again. There's been a couple of times where I've deleted the hard drive just by putting a backslash in where I didn't mean to, and you spend the whole night recovering it. But to follow up on the graphics question, the Apple computer was just starting to come out. It was the Apple II or something like that.
Apple IIe and the Commodore 64 came out that in what, 83, I think it was.
Yeah. So in 83 to 85, I was doing a lot of work on the Amiga. Mm-hmm. So I was doing some pretty cool things on the Amiga that it really wasn't meant for. So we ended up doing some programming for a local cable company. Remember the old TV guides that would just scroll up your screen like that?
Yeah, I do.
That at the point was run on Amiga. So we would do that, and we thought, hey, well, if we're doing this, why don't we bring in advertising, in between the sets? So I mean, it just made you think, and you evolve some of the technology that was there. Now doing graphics, I used to. Really, I started in grade 8 doing graphics, and excuse me. I went to George Brown College.
Right.
87, I think I started. And still at that point, they didn't have any computer graphics course. That wasn't until about the third year. So in early 90s, they brought it in. But at this point, I'd already been doing, 5-6 years of computer graphics on Amiga. There's another operating system. It was called a GEM operating system.
I remember that one. Yeah.
And then there was, there's things like Aldus PageMaker, which is now, Adobe. So there's a lot of programs that I learned from. CorelDRAW was one of my favorites back in the day.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of the coding to create the graphics. I used whatever graphics programs were at the time available to me.
Yeah.
I remember there's a program on the Amiga called Toaster, and it was all 3D rendering. So that's got to be late 80s. We were doing stuff like that.
I think we're both dating ourselves, Randy, because I remember Jam, and I started out with computers on the 2E and the Commodore 64. Yeah. Did they ever make you create Pong? That was one of the first programs I actually had to write. Was to make Pong.
Yeah. Other than the Hello World, that was.
Yeah.
And when it came to web design, I think I did my first website. Would have been in '92. That's when Netscape just came out, and I started writing websites just in Notepad.
Yeah.
So I'm writing them in a text file, and you got to put in everything. There was a program, I think it was called, I forget what it was called, Hot Dog or something like that. That kind of gave you a little bit of a graphic environment, but everything I did, I had to, write in code, and the images, you'd have to slice them and put little images together. It was a really crazy way to develop it, but you really learn a lot. You learn, again, your problem solving skills, but you also learn how things are created, and it makes a big difference when you're looking to get other websites done, or you want to do some work and you know how it's done. It'd be like being a mechanic. Through high school, I took 4 years of auto mechanics, as probably everybody did. But when you go to a shop, at least you have the knowledge now of what they're doing. So, but I took it a little further with computers and graphics. So,
well, is it that how you got into the music industry? Was through the graphic design, or have you just always had a love for music as well?
Well, I was in a band in high school.
Okay.
So we did a couple of assemblies. I was never a great musician. I was, a good rhythm guitar player, and a couple of my friends were just fantastic. So we were in a band. We did a high school assembly. We did a street dance. So I've always had a passion for music. One of my best friends, Kevin Caspo, introduced me to Triumph, and so in grade 8, it was one of the bands that really inspired me as far as music and creativity and things like that. So yeah, so I've always had a passion for music. I still play. You can see right now the guitar behind me. It's
Yeah.
really just a dust collector now because
Oh, in other words, you're not going to let me go, Randy, grab that guitar and, come
yeah,
on, let's do
no,
some rocking.
no,
See,
I
actually,
would need a couple of weeks to get back up to speed on
to get
that.
the fingers back.
That's exact. So I put it there because I thought, okay, if it's there in the office, when I get a moment, I'll be able to, play for a bit. Even if it's 10 or 15 minutes. Well, um, you don't get 10 or 15 minutes. Even if it's sitting right on my lap, I probably wouldn't play it right now. It's just, it's. I'll eventually get back to it, but so I was never really, fantastic musician but I've always been involved in it. So when I went through to college, I went through graphic design, and um, really it was all hand. There was really not a lot of computer generated,
Yeah.
so it was all art, hand drawing, and stuff like that. I eventually left college, and going from a graphic design college course in Toronto, I moved right into making forklift tires.
Now, how the hell do you go from graphic design to making tires? Other
Well,
than I need the money.
that's one of the things. My brother at the time he was working at this forklift company making forklift tires. So he
Right?
said, "Well, if you need a job, here's a job." So I thought, okay, well, I need some money. I was, 19 or 20 or whatever I was, and so I worked 30 days straight doing 12-hour shifts, and he's got me cleaning the oil and scraping the oil out of these machines, and the worst job you can get. And uh, I said, well, "Come on, you're my brother. He's the shop supervisor. Like, let's ease up on me." He said, "No." He goes, "I had to do that when I started. You're doing it." So,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, you got to work your way up. So there's no preferential treatment.
Yep.
So after a couple of years of doing that, and now I was, you know, uh, late teens, early 20s, making really good money. Um, and it was my other brother said, "Is this what you want to do? Is this what you went to school for?" And I'm thinking, you know what? I didn't go to school for forklift tires.
Yeah.
So I quit and
Driver.
decided to come back down to the Niagara region and sort of revisit my skills and hone my skills. So I took basically a 3 month and dedicated myself to bring myself back up to speed. I've always prided myself of being ahead of the curve when it came to technology and graphics.
Yeah.
So I felt doing the forklift tires, I lost some of that edge. So I took devoted 3 months and went back saying, okay, well, I'm going to get back to doing what I love. So I applied to a couple of positions. There was a multimedia company in town or an advertising agency, and they sent back a rejection letter just based on, didn't have enough experience in this and that. So
Yeah.
I put that on my pegboard that I could see every single day to remind me that they made a mistake. And so from there, I just kept working. I ended up starting as a part time. I was supposed to do part time graphic design at a newspaper. I thought,
Right.
okay, this is great. They wanted me Friday, Monday, Tuesday. The
Hmm.
paper would go out Tuesday night, be published, and then so I went in. First week I was there, I took the computer home, I reformatted it, I reinstalled all the software on it, I got it running the way it should have been running.
Right.
And then after that, I saw a lot of need for improvements. So they had invoicing. They were doing invoices by hand, and then they would photocopy it 3 times. I thought, well,
Right.
that's a waste of a day. So a full day would take the receptionist to do all this. I thought, well, let's put it into a database.
Yeah.
And at that point, people were like, database? What are you talking about?
What the hell's that?
So I created a whole invoicing system over the next couple of weeks in a program called Q&A. So they
Hmm.
used to have DBase. So
Right.
this was kind of like DBase was. So I developed this whole thing that allowed you to put in all the customer, all the details, all the invoicing, and then I had forms printed out in triplicate. So the first week it was a bit of training showing her how to use it. The
Right.
next week after that, she came to me at about 10:30 in the morning and said, "I was like, is everything all right? Like, did you something broke? She said, no, I'm done. I'm done invoicing. I said, well, when would you normally have finished? She said, it'd take me all day. I said, well, go have like a 2 hour lunch. Go have fun. Go shopping. And so that was just a start of the progression in the print industry. Within 8 months, I was the manager of the newspaper. So I was the general manager of the newspaper. We also did the head office, which is it was in Newmarket, did a monthly magazine. I was a creative director for that. And then we also started developing a smart community, which is taking news and putting it into an online format and a community uh, sort of environment online.
Right.
And this was in 91, I believe. So, I mean, the internet really was just coming around and we were developing these smart communities. And
The first Facebook is what you're basically telling us.
I'm sorry?
The first Facebook.
Well, it kind of. It was, yeah, it was really weird. So I partnered up with Sinclair Stevens, who is a member of Parliament. He's the one that owned the newspaper and had this whole vision of where he wanted to go, and I just took it there technically. So we bought a house and we ran it out of there. I had like 25 different modems, all through all night, people dialing into the system, and it was really kind of cool what we were trying to accomplish. Again, I think we were too far ahead of what people were looking for. We approached a couple of Zares and Loblaws to basically do what people are doing now. The Instacart is where we were saying, well, let's do it so that they can do some of the staple ordering online, show up, and it'll already be ready. Yeah. And some of that never came to fruition on what we were doing. And after several years of doing that, I had an opportunity to work for a music magazine.
Right.
So I went for it. I thought, okay, well, now it's marrying two passion, because now I started getting too technical on the other side. I became more of a programmer and administrator and IT support and things like that, which was fine. I didn't mind doing that. But the passion was sort of not there.
It was drying up.
Yeah. So when I started at the music magazine, it sort of renewed my interest in what I wanted to do and the passions. So now I'm doing graphics and production and layout for an industry that I've always been partial to, that I've always loved being in.
Well, and I know we've got some pictures to bring up here in a little while of some of the bands, etc. you've worked with, but carry on. We'll bring that up in a few minutes.
And I feel like I'm just rambling on here. I should have been drunk.
Well, this is what the show is about. It's about sharing your passion for what you did and how you got to where you are today, Randy.
Well, I think the biggest thing that kept me going was, somebody said a long time ago, if you find something that you love, you'll never have to work another day in your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like I haven't worked in 35 years. So from the magazine, it led to a lot of different contacts. Triumph, which is, again, as I mentioned before, one of my favorite bands. I got a call the one day that Gil from Metalworks, who owns, so Gil's the drummer for Triumph. He owns Metalworks Studios up in Mississauga, and they wanted to do a Christmas card. So I went in and I got the call. I'm like, oh my God, I got to do some work for Triumph. And so that was kind of my first taste with somebody at that sort of level. And, we eventually, I ended up building a good relationship with them. And I went on and did 3 album covers for Triumph. One being the greatest hits, CD and DVD, live in Sweden. And then a re-release of the Allied Forces, which that's how you brought up there.
Yeah, do you want to actually play that? Because they were actually talking about you on this interview on Rockline about you're doing the artwork. So how about we just play that and listen to them talk about you for a second?
Let me give you just a quick backline on it.
Okay.
So they came to me. It was a 30th year anniversary, so they wanted to re-release in vinyl, and they came to me to redo the artwork. And I said, we can't use the film anymore. Nobody uses film. So, and you'll hear in the little interview. So I end up basically recreating the whole artwork, right? Every word, everything, just redoing it right from scratch.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening is I got my name on the inner sleeve of an album that came out when I was in grade 8.
Yeah.
So it was something that just when it actually finished and it was produced and I got it, and just the thinking is like, wow, that really happened. So yeah, go ahead
and we'll try to roll this here. I think I'm at the right spot at 443.
Real love for him. This was his favorite
go
album
back,
of all
go back
time.
in 5 minutes, 5 seconds.
For him.
Go back
and everything are great. Yeah. And the inside sleeve and everything just pops, man. The colors and everything are great.
Well, Randy Rowe, the artist that did this, I mean, it was a labor of love for him. This was his favorite album of all time. And I give him big points because we went and found actually the big 12-inch negatives that went for the inner sleeve and the jacket and everything. And Randy went out and tried to find anybody that could reproduce it from a 12-inch negative. And he had one great story where he said, went to one of the big film places here, and the guy said, no, I still got that machine. I use it as a stand for my coffee maker now. It's a $1 million stand that I make coffee on. But you guys are going to have to figure out another way to recreate your sleeve. And honestly, this is like better than the real thing. This is like awesome.
I got out my original copy, and this blows it away. It really and truly does. And it's UV coated, and whatever that means, it makes the colors really pop.
It's a pretty good.
Plus, all these great songs
definitely. Yeah. Like how many times do you get, some of your heroes, that you had in grade 8, complimenting you on redoing the artwork from that album? Like that's amazing, Randy.
Yeah, it's still, it still hasn't sunk in. So on the greatest hits CD, I told you my buddy Kevin, he's the one that introduced me to Triumph, and I really got became a fan. So on the greatest hits, I asked them if I can add a name onto the credits, and they said, yeah, sure. And they said, well, why? And I said, well, without him, I wouldn't have became a Triumph fan.
Yeah.
And not being a Triumph fan, I don't think it would have put as much passion into the art. And so when I gave it to him at Christmas, he knew I was working on it, but he didn't know I put his name in the credit.
Sweet.
So as soon as I pointed at the name, he punched me, as that's how I would have reacted to.
You son of a bee!
Yeah. You know what? They were one of the bands that inspired me. It's whether people like their music or not, I think some of their lyrics it was very inspiring. So when I would do my art, and either I was late on a project or it was due the next day because I always procrastinated, and I would always throw on Triumph and just get to work and start doing it, and it was something that helped, that got me through college, and just any bit of inspiration that you can get from wherever, and then when you finally get to the point where you're actually doing work with those people, it's just some people say that, oh my God, you're so lucky. But I think it was a series of events that got me to the point where I put myself in a position where I'm able to do that type of thing. So.
Yeah, and Pemba River is saying a favorite band while she was growing up, and I have to agree. Like I knew I grew up on Triumph and that. Yeah. Now you mentioned Newmarket. Did you ever work with Tokyo Rose? They changed their name to Honeymoon Suite.
Well, no, Honeymoon Suite, the singer's from Niagara Falls down here.
Yeah, is it Honeymoon?
I've never done work with them, but I did live in Newmarket for a while.
Yeah, I know. They were out in Newmarket. I got a chance to go out and party with the band for a weekend. And they actually, when I was living in Toronto, they came and played my New Year's party in my apartment that the next day I got kicked out of, mind you. But it was a hell of a good party.
Yeah, those are the best parties.
Oh yeah. So do you want to bring up some of the other bands? We got some pictures of guys that you've worked with. Would you like to bring that up now?
Let me give you, I guess, a little bit of a preface for it. So when I was working with that magazine, I ended up, somebody came to me and wanted some music books done. So as an artist and as sort of a musician, I did a better job than the company that they had hired from New York to do. So it got me to the point where I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to start my own company. And that was back in 2020. I just had my first daughter, and she was, she was just born. So I'm starting a new company, and I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing? I was making pretty decent money where I was, and but it wasn't about the money. It was about the passion. Like what I want to do with the rest of my life. Like so I moved from the magazine and I became an art director at a promotion company. And I thought, okay, well, this is kind of good, but I think I had more of an entrepreneurial spirit, and I wanted to do. I was sick of making other people money or making them look good, and and basically not getting the recognition.
Yeah.
So I started my own company, and for anybody that's started their own company, there's a time where you think, "What the fuck am I doing?" Like how
only one time, Randy? Only one time thinking that, brother?
Yeah, no, like it's after 35 years, I'm still saying, what the fuck am I doing? So yeah, I started it, and basically I used a lot of the music clients that that I gathered over the last few years to start creating a business. So I was doing I was pressing CDs. I had a machine that made CDs. I had a print client that came to me and asked me if I could do some work for a band that they're printing the programs for. Well, the band turned out to be the Eagles. And what they wanted to do was this interactive event program and interactive CD. So basically took that and developed the business idea out of it. We pitched them. They were interested in doing it. And the concept was, because up to that point, I've done a lot of multimedia. I did CD training videos and interactive follow along manuals. So the idea was we were going to do this interactive event program for the Eagles on their tour and sell it through their merchandising, and it'd be attached to the program. And so we just basically ran out of time. We told them it's going to take us, 12 weeks to develop this. So they came back around 8 weeks, and so we just never did. But what it did is it made me sort of take off in another direction. So I started doing a lot of interactive CDs for local musicians, festivals. Basically, it was a CD that you would just have, but if you threw it in the computer, it would bring up all their bio and kind of like an EPK, but a little bit more involved. So moving on from that, one of the clients that I ended up working with was Canadian Music Week. So I've been working with Canadian Music Week till today. I'm still working with them for over 25 years. And Neil Dixon, the owner over there, has really become a mentor, a friend. We're a business partner in GrowUp when we started that up. And he's got, turns out he was Triumph's manager. So like how crazy is all that? So yeah, I mean, working with some of the best in the Canadian industry. I ended up working with a couple other festivals. I've done a couple of country, which I'm not a country fan, but a couple other music festivals where I took care of all the the multimedia, the website, the design, the branding, basically, and photography. And so I got a lot of backstage. I started getting used to working backstage, and now I can't even go to a concert anymore on this side of the fence just because I'm so used to being backstage.
Yeah.
So, and if you if you want
Bring
to show
that
some
up.
of those pictures. So this is Nikki Six. This was at Canadian Music Week. You can see I've got the camera around my neck, so I was also doing photography, doing the website, doing all of the branding and things like that. Of course, Gene Simmons, Canadian Music Week again. That was at one of the awards dinner.
And you look a little bit younger there, Randy. What year was that?
Oh God, that would have been probably about 2004.
A couple of days ago, yeah.
No, probably about 2010, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just there was a backstage with Geddy Lee.
Okay.
And then Sammy Hagar, again, that was Canadian Music Week. You can see I've got crutches on. I had a broken foot. Yeah, so that was 2010.
Yeah, you were still working your ass off.
I ended up going to a party at the Rebel, and it was just packed. And I'm hopping around with my crutches and all that.
Okay, and
just had his name, Eddie Kramer. He was the producer for Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix. Just an incredible producer. He actually produced Triumph as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a hard job too, producing the bands.
Oh God, yeah.
That's not you.
No, that's my wife. That was our first date. So I brought her to Tragically Hip. That's Paul Langlois from the Tragically Hip.
And there's you with him, of course.
Yeah.
And you married a beautiful woman, brother.
Oh, she's beautiful in so many ways.
Oh, I know. Mine is the same way. Beautiful in so many ways.
Yeah, I can't say anything bad. It's that's just a funny. You can skip that one. Well, we kidnapped our buddy, so he.
Okay. That almost looks like Remo.
It does, eh? That's Randy Bachman.
Yeah, BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Yeah, and then my wife again.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I was saying about my wife Charlie, she gives me the opportunity to do all the stuff that I need to do, and just says do what you got to do, and it's very difficult to find somebody like that. So it allows you to to be yourself.
When you find somebody like that, you latch on and you don't let go, because they're so rare that they love you so much that they're willing to let you do what you want to do.
Yeah, she didn't know it, but I knew I was going to marry her a long time before she did.
I know I did. I actually was friends with my wife for 5 years before we got together. But yeah, that's my life. We're on your life right now. So who have we got here, Randy?
Sean O'Sullivan. He was a Gold Glove boxer. That was just by chance that I met this guy. So.
Okay. And of course, the Allied Forces, and they've signed it for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Rush.
Another Rush.
And there's a country.
No, that's Big Sugar. That's
okay.
Buddy Johnson.
Okay.
So that was one of the big music festivals.
Well, just wearing the cowboy hat, you automatically go, shit gamer country.
Yeah. Anvil. I don't know if anybody remembers the band Anvil.
Vaguely.
they sang Metal on Metal.
Okay.
So I ended up partying with those guys one night in Toronto. Oh my God. It was just so much fun.
Oh, partying with the band's always fun.
Oh, yeah. Rick Sanders, who is another one of my favorites, he ended up playing guitar as a backup for Triumph on one of the tours that I saw in 1985.
Cool.
Lana Miles, that was backstage at one of her events.
I love her voice. Love her voice.
And of course, the Triumph. That's Gil.
Yeah. Yeah, Randy, you got to grow your hair out that long, brother.
I used to. Well, actually, I wouldn't say I used to. It'd get about halfway, and then it'd just go puffy. So, but I used to have a pretty decent mullet.
Yeah. I'm growing mine back out because, well, for different reasons, but yeah.
Priestess. That's the lead singer from Priestess.
Okay, I actually Priestess, so. It looks like character though.
Man, that's how old I am now.
Shh! Don't tell anybody. You're only as old as you are, brother. So who do we got here?
That's Triumph again. That's Mike Levine and Gilmore.
They look so much different as they age, you know?
Yeah. Howard Underlighten, he's the lighting director for Van Halen and Rush. He also lit up the Parliament buildings in Ottawa.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
And
this one's Paul James. That was up in Thunder Bay. Blues artist.
I've actually heard of, you know, I'm not too bad on the music, but it's been a while. Oh, and everybody should know Randy Rowe.
You can see the mullet back in that one.
Oh, okay. We'll go back. Oh, yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't look that bad, Randy. Yeah. And of course, we got Ed Rosenthal.
Yeah. So this was in 2017 when I first started Grow Up.
Okay.
The advisory board said to me, "You need to get somebody like Ed Rosenthal," and I had no idea who Ed was at that time. And
yep.
So I flew out to Portland to meet him, and that was the day that I flew out, and he agreed to come up to Niagara for our first show, and he's been a staple at our show ever since. He's, you know, I think he's only missed one or two during COVID, but he'll be in Alberta. He was in Niagara. He was in Victoria.
Yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to meeting him in Edmonton. So is that at a grow, or is that just a picture of cannabis in the background?
Yeah, it's in front of a banner.
Oh, okay. Now,
Gretchen.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks like Gretchen.
I was trying to take a picture. So the story, I was trying to take a picture with the camera, and I was doing all this because I'm no good at selfies. And he told me to turn it the Hutter way. So I turned it the Hutter way, and that was the picture.
Oh, too cool.
And then Triumph again.
Yeah. Oh man, is he looking old, eh?
You know what though? I think they look great. I mean, they.
Oh gosh, yeah. Considering how old they actually are, they're still rocking it.
Oh yeah. And then Kevin O'Leary we had in 2018 at Grow Up in Niagara Falls.
Cool. Yeah. I watched him for years on the Dragon's Den.
Yeah, he's very he had a lot of knowledge to pass on.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, Finger 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the last one.
Yeah. Sorry to bore everybody. I feel like I'm running home videos and, you know, but
see, that's what this whole show is about though, Randy. It's the connection that you have with these people that, you know, has made you who you are. And, you know, it's like having Ed Rosenthal at the Grow Up. It's making those connections and creating the Grow Up. Like, how the hell did you? Well, think about it. Cannabis and music and everything, it kind of matches. But how did you actually come up with the idea for the Grow Up, or why did you come up with it?
Well, back in high school, I would say I was a cannabis entrepreneur for 3 or 4 years. So I've also had that bit of a, I wouldn't say passion, but it's always been a part of my life. And in 2017, Canadian Music Week, Neil started O'Cannabis just right after the Canadian Music Week, so it was almost a part of it. And at that point, it wasn't legal. There's a huge buzz about it, and it went over. It was quite successful. And at that point, I thought, you know what? Nobody's doing any shows for growers. All the shows I saw were all business. It was all general knowledge, but there wasn't anybody doing a show about growers. And there was one, I think, in Palm Springs at the time, doing something just for growers. And I thought, I'm from the Niagara region,
right?
And there's a lot of growers down here. So obviously, at that point, it was all legacy growers, but there's a huge history in this region for grow, whether it's wine or fruit and veg or cannabis. So I thought, let's do a growing show. I don't want to do it downtown Toronto because you can't grow anything in concrete. Let's do it in Niagara, where growers would want to come. Let's do a show that's really dedicated to the people that grow the plant, that touch the plant, really, they're the ones that
have the passion for the plant.
Yeah. So I started after O'Cannabis, and I started making plans on starting Grow Up. And within the first month of doing all the planning, it started blowing up, and it started getting some traction. And I thought, okay, this is it's viable. So then I went back to Neil at Canadian Music Week, who does O'Cannabis, and we've been working together for 20 years, and said, let's partner up on it. And he said, all right, let's do this. And so that's where it went. And we're still sticking true to our grower. Edmonton is the biggest city that we're doing a show in. Up until then, it's been Niagara Falls, Victoria, the 80,000 population city with a radius of about 400, 500,000. So Edmonton's the first show in a major city that we're doing, but it still has the grassroots feel. It's still dedicated to the growers, whether you're legacy growers or if you've been brought up brand new as a legal grower, and you've got a few years under your belt. That's the show that you want to be at. So one of the things that sort of sets ourselves apart from some of the other shows is the community. Once you get some of the growers, some of the people that come up to me and keep telling me, and I keep hearing it. The show in 2019 when we had Frenchie Cannoli, Kevin Joggery, Arjen Roscom from the Netherlands, Ed Rosenthal. We just had so many legend growers that anybody that was attending just stop and talk to them. And that's what really if you look at growers versus other type of industries, they just love talking to other growers. And you share the knowledge, you gain knowledge, and they have no issues. You can come up and talk to them while you're standing there. So I get a lot of people saying, man, the first time I met Frenchie was at your show, or the first time I met Ed Rosenthal, or and that's one of the things that I try to accomplish at Grow Up, is to bring in the right people. So let's bring in some of the rock stars, but also let's bring in some of the new guys. Some of the guys that are killing it out there, that are making some, some noise, and so we got new growers. So that's where we're dedicated is the grower side. We're now we've added the cannabis championship.
Yeah.
So we did that in 2022. Reef Organics was our flower winner. And so we're doing it again this year. We just announced the finalists yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's going to be, it's going to be fun. So we've got a lot of things going on at the event. We've got the Cannabis Championship. We've got a seed exchange, which we're doing 2 days. We did it once in Niagara. We've got the Canon Networking Lounge, as you can see there. We have a Certicraft sensory stage outside where a consumption lounge brought to you by Bovita. They're the one sponsoring it.
Okay.
So we'll have a stage right out there where we're going to have a lot of discussions and entertainment and, just being able to smoke out there. So a lot of people, when we first started doing it, we always have a drinking session and
right.
a drinking networking area. So we've kind of flipped it now. So we're putting a lot more attention on the consumption area.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know we've got Kimberly Cannoli coming up as well. We've got Leighton Morrison, Kevin Jodry, Dragonfly Earth Medicine. They're going to be there. And you were talking about the seed exchange. I talked to Andrew, fantastic young man, and he's bringing a lot of people in for that seed exchange.
That's going to be, last year the seed exchange was, we held it on the last day in Niagara Falls, and it was the busiest part of the event. It's worth it. You've basically what we do is we gift you 3 seeds as long as you're signed up. Once you get signed up and sign the forms and all that, you're gifted 3 seeds, and then you're encouraged to share them. We just came back from Spanibus. We went to Spain a week and a half ago. And man, those seed companies, you can't even get in to talk to people. It's just so busy. It's like everybody meets there to get seeds and genetics. And so this is something that I'm trying to sort of replicate in Canada.
Cool.
We can't sell seeds. I can't sell any product. It's against the law to do that.
Yeah.
You are allowed to gift, and we're going to just do small ones just to get it going, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a great opportunity for growers to get together and do it in a legal environment. It's in a business-to-business environment. So we've got everybody from the industry. It's not really a public show, so it's not consumer driven.
Yeah.
We are doing a consumer pack for the Cannabis Cup, which should be out at the end of April. So the 14 finalists for this year that all of our judges will be doing live on Sunday. Consumers will be able to vote at home and have their own fans' choice favorite. So.
Oh, right on. You got to like that. I know that Unicorn Cup, actually, they had London Nero test all of the packages. We did it live on Future Cannabis Project, and he would give his opinions. Before the actual event. I know their seed swap was really good at the Unicorn Cup as well, right?
Yeah. That's the whole community. So I think what we're going to do is we're having Ganjay sort of break down the 3 winners before we announce who they are. So that's going to be pretty exciting. I think Segra, we're still talking to them, but they're going to show the DNA of all the entries, and
that would be great. Yeah.
So we've got a lot of things going on, and if you're a grower, or this is definitely the place to be at. We've got a masterclass workshop. Av Singh is running, that covers 10 different topics that every grower is interested in. So it's and we've got a lot of things on the branded buyers zone. If you are a brand and you want to get it out, we've invited all the top retail. We did a little mixture in February to get some of the retail introduced to what we're doing. And we've got just from that mixture, there was 80% of the buying power in Alberta was at the mixture. So we're trying to get them in front of the brand so that if you're a micro, you'll know that you can't get out and see all of these retail chains. It's hard to get into some of the bigger ones. And then all the mom and pop ones, it's very difficult to go around and see everybody. You need a team, you need a budget, you need money to do that.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is bring everybody together in Edmonton, and that way the micro growers will be able to promote their brands in front of retail and vice versa. So.
Well, and like Chet and Pembina River, they're both, living a couple of hours out from Edmonton. They both want to come and have the opportunity to be there for the event. I think you guys were running a pre-sale package. Is that still on? Or?
Yeah, right now we have early bird pricing. There's a day pass. If you want to come out just for the day, right now it's at $69, going up to $99. We have an industry pass, which includes a lot of the master class and all of these other day class. The day pass doesn't get you into the master class. The industry pass, I think, is $179 right now. That's a 2-day. Then we have a VIP, which is $349. That includes 3 days of programming. It gets you into the VIP. It gives you early access to the expo. So there's a lot of things. We're also doing 2 parties. One on Sunday, which is going to be a Brandon Buyers party, and one on Monday, which is our official networking party. And one of the things that we do well is the parties. So
no,
I
you come from the rock industry. If you're not doing a damn good party, brother, you're in trouble. Okay.
Yeah. That's that's my name on that, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing too, anybody coming up, if you go to our hotel page, there's we have a deal with Marriott. It's $179 for a night, which is you're not going to Toronto and doing a $450 room night. Yeah. There's also different on that page. There's also shows you all the different Airbnbs and other hotels in the area to get a cheap. So really, if you come up for 2 days, you're maybe $400 that you're looking to spend. If you do the industry pass and then a room night.
And everything of that's all on the growupconference.com.
Yeah.
So what else is happening? Like, that's the Edmonton event. Are you guys going to be doing a Vancouver event or a Victoria event again? I don't think you guys are doing down east this year because you were doing Edmonton, I think.
Yeah, we're doing Victoria October 1st to the 3rd. So that's running off the success that we had in June of last year. Yeah, we had Jim Belushi as our keynote there. That was one of the better shows in terms of community and support, and just the overall feel of that show. It was really really well supported by the community. So we're coming back again in October, and then eventually, what I'm hoping to do is be able to tie it in with music. So as the government starts to open up some of their consumption laws, which not holding my breath, but I know in Alberta you're allowed to do consumption at festivals. So we're looking at eventually being able to bring in more of a consumer and a bud tender and a retail party, and just let's throw a big party and enjoy everything. It doesn't have to be about beer. Let's have one that's just full consumption, and maybe put a beer stand off to the corner. So there's a lot of changes that got to be done in the government, but as long as we keep on top of it, and when it's ready to go, I'm going to be there. So.
Well, and don't worry about inviting me. Just send me a pass, and I'll show up. Hey, why not? I'm actually going to be in Edmonton. I'm going to be They're doing video. I know I'm going to be doing the OG's Power Hour live from the Grow Up. I'm doing the Soil Matters podcast live. I don't think Av is actually going to be able to join us because you've got him doing talks, and that's the Monday he's doing all it. But I think we might be able to find a couple of people to come in with Leighton Morrison and, chat for a couple of hours. But
yeah,
I know it's going to be fantastic.
Won't be hard to find somebody.
No, I might even have to grab a Randy guy and, bring him in just to give us all a hard time.
I'll either be walking around happy or hiding.
Depending on how things are going.
Sometimes it gets crazy, sometimes in the middle of chaos and that, I sometimes think, man, making forklift tires was pretty easy.
A lot less stress. Oh, Randy, there's one question I want to ask, and it's something that I ask on basically every show. What would you have to say to the youth of today about the passion it takes to find their path in life?
I would say create opportunities for yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. Nobody ever comes to your door and knocks on your door and says, hey, do you want to do a Triumph album? You've got to create those chances and those opportunities and follow kind of what you're meant to do. And I think once you keep doing it, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a long time, but it's a long time of consistently doing things to put yourself in that position. I'm going to use Grow Up as an example. If you're a grower and you want to become a good grower, get hired onto another, you got to come to these trade shows. You got to come to these events. You got to network. You got to talk to people. The biggest thing is saying hi. You have no idea how many opportunities have come up in my life just by saying hi. What brings you here today? Or, somebody, if you meet them at a bar, at a conference, at an expo, at a concert, just saying hi. You have no idea where that can take you. Some of the biggest deals I've done were in a bar at a conference, and it was just talking to somebody. And then you find out that person, one example was in Seattle. One of the people I've been trying to get a hold of, never seen, sitting at a bar. She was sitting across and she ordered a Stella. Well, I had a Stella. So I said, oh, good choice. Next thing you know, we started talking. She was the person that I was trying to find. And next thing you know, that was a title sponsorship deal.
Sweet.
Just say hi. So I think one of my advices would be just say hi, and put yourself in those spots.
And I think that's one of the big keys, is being there to be able to say hi. If I hadn't went out and done what I did and introduced myself, I wouldn't be here. If I hadn't if I hadn't sent you an email going, hey man, would you mind coming on to the show? You would have never been able to say yes, because I would have never contacted you in the first frickin' place.
And I wouldn't have been out looking for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's putting yourself in the right spot. People always say, man, you're lucky. It's not. And it's the art of timing, right? It's an art to be able to put yourself in that right spot. So.
Yeah. And to get off your computer and get out into the environment and meet people is a real big key in anything you're wanting to do. And then, of course, there's the knowledge, your graphic art, which led to the music, which led to this and led to this. But if you hadn't got out there in the first frickin' place, you would have never done any of it.
Yeah. If you don't get out and talk to people, then, and you don't always have to have a clear path of what you want to do. Just know that you got to keep doing something. Right?
Yeah.
So even though it's not clear, it eventually becomes clear. Because over time, you become an expert of something. Whether you're an expert at sitting on the couch, that might become a job, but you eventually you find, like I'm not done. I'm not even close to being done what I want to do, and I don't know where 5 years brings me. I don't know where 10 years brings me, but I do have a sort of a 3-year plan of what I want to do, and I think everybody, and I've always had that.
Yeah.
It's a whether it's a new job or having a kid, or there's got to be some thought into some of the things, and you're not always going to get it right, and things screw up. But I'd say for anybody in the younger generation, use technology to your advantage. Chat GPT, the AI stuff, all that stuff. There's, people are like, oh, it's ruining our industry, and all. Well, either you sit back and let it ruin the industry, or you learn how to use it and become one of the best AI chat type of people, around. So I'd rather hire somebody that knows more about AI than I do.
Yep. Hire the professionals. It's like building a website. I'd rather hire you to build my website than me try to build it and screw it up.
And you know what? I went to Chat GPT the other day to have it write some code for me, just because, number one, I didn't have enough time and I was too lazy to type it all in because I'm a slower typer. And then it did it in less than a minute, and it was bang on. I'm like,
yeah,
So use it to your advantage. Yeah, the technology's there.
Yeah.
Whether you think, oh, it's replacing jobs, or if it's replacing a job, then learn why it's replacing a job and be a part of that.
Well, and learn how to program the next AI and make it even better, and then you're creating your own bloody job. Interesting. Yeah. Well, Randy, thank you so much, brother, for coming on. This has been absolutely amazing. I know Lily's loved it. Pemba My River has loved it. It's amazing what you can learn about people when you just take the time to listen.
What's that?
I said it's amazing what you can learn. Yeah, you're number one, Randy. Yeah. You got me too, because I wasn't. Yeah, Rotter. This is why I like you, man, because you're as much of a hard ass as I am. Well, everybody on chat, thank you so much for coming. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the content. Leave a comment. Give Randy a hard time in the comments. I'll pass them along to him. Don't worry, I will. And we hope to see you guys all at Grow Up. And anybody that wants to reach out, that wants to come on to the Passion Within, reach out to me. I got links in the description. So don't hesitate. Join the party. Anyway, guys, you have a wonderful day. Randy, do you have anything that you would like to add before we cut?
No, just wanted to thank you for letting me get on and ramble away. And I can't wait to see everybody at the show.
You bet, man. It was a real pleasure. I loved it. I love listening to the stories. So it was fantastic. And with that, guys, peace out, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next show.